Hey guys, I'm Bethany.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is Looking for the Middle.
CouchCast edition.
We're back, guys. Trying to get in the swing of things. We're a little discombobulated, I guess. I called Kristen yesterday and I said, I feel very, very underprepared going into this new season. I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't know what I need to be getting together. And I was like, she's like, okay. And I was like, so can you tell me? And she was like,
I need you to be a little more specific.
Yeah. So we're just a little bit out of sorts. I can't figure out why. COVID year was last year. That was our year to be out of sorts. We're like delayed reaction.
Seriously.
Oh, goodness.
But let's be honest. We just booked our trip to the beach for September, so that's really all we can think about. So Bethany's mind is elsewhere. I it is on the coast.
7 weeks from now, too, we figured out, too, which is like too far to even start a countdown.
It's never too far to start a countdown.
I cannot wait.
I literally told Bethany, I'm like, I do not want to get up out of my chair unless I have to pee, eat, or sleep.
Agreed.
That is it.
We're going to sit
there. Or
get
like coffee.
Sit on the beach, watch the seagulls fly by. Actually, in recent days, I've been told I sound like a dying bird, speaking of birds. So there's that. So if any of you guys have ever had that thought, you're not alone. It's fine. I have embraced my ability to mimic dying birds. It's fine. We all have our talents, and you just have to learn to be okay with them. So anyway, moving on. Kristen. not a bird though, just regular dying.
Y'all, so many conversations about birds. Have I already talked about how I got attacked by the bird?
I don't think you have talked about that. You want to throw that in there too?
Throw that in there.
Okay.
Y'all. Okay, so I'm on a walk a couple weeks. I think it's been a couple weeks now. I go on walks all the time, and I go on the same route through my apartment complex every single day. Well, there was this one day I'm walking down this particular street, and this bird circles around, and it like craps in the parking lot. Okay, so I am watching it because I'm like, please do not drop an unwanted something in my hair, okay? And so I'm kind of watching it. Well, it kind of circles around and dives at my head, okay? I have to duck to get like out of this bird's way. So
man.
I am flipping out. I'm like, what the heck was that? So I watch it again. It circles back around and then comes back from the other direction, dives at my head again. So I take off running, which is already a miracle. Yes. Run to the end of the street, and it left me alone, thankfully. And then I came back a different way, so I didn't have to go past it. And y'all, I have never been afraid of birds until now. And then I text our group text with Bethany, Lindsay, and Melanie, and I'm like, y'all, I just almost got attacked by a bird. And Bethany's like, well, you better be glad it didn't come a third time, because usually the first two are warnings, which I didn't know. People, why don't they teach you that in science class in high school? Like, I need to know that if a bird swoops down twice, you better get out of the way.
Well, I just know my dad flies drones. That's what he does for work, and so I do a lot of stuff with him. And I remember them telling, like, when you're learning to fly, that like birds have like their airspace or whatever. It's like this 20-foot like cylinder basically, or square, cube, whatever. And so like they tell you, like, when you're flying, okay, if a bird comes at you once, they're like, you're in their airspace, and they come at you twice, they're like, if the bird, don't give it a third chance, because if it comes back, it's going to attack the drone. They're like, all you gotta do is go like 20 feet in one direction or the other, and you'll be out of its airspace. So I told Kristen, she just got to sprint for 20 feet, and then she'll be fine.
I sprinted a lot further than that, which again is saying something.
That is so funny.
But anyways.
I mean, it's funny for me. Poor Kristen's still a little traumatized.
I am. I take a different route now when
I'll go
on
on walks with you, and now I can just threaten the birds. Apparently,
there you go, with your dying noises,
bird impression noises. I should start putting that on my online dating profile. Like, why don't I lead with that?
I'm a dying bird impressionist.
A master. Like, make it sound good.
If you don't meet your husband that way.
Seriously.
Wow.
Now I know where I've been going wrong all this time.
Alrighty, yes.
Anywho, that's not what we came on here to talk about today.
Why are you still single? Well, it's because I just started telling people that I can impersonate dying birds. And apparently that's a hot commodity. I had no idea.
No clue.
Oh my gosh.
Oh dear.
What a turn.
So what are we really
We are actually not talking about birds today. The question for today's episode is this. Should you date someone if you are both in different stages of life?
Ooh, okay, so we get asked the question of like, how far apart is too much with like age gap and this, that, and the other. So this is like,
we get that a lot. I don't think we've ever gotten the life stage question. This is a twist
on that. So this could be, we are very far apart in age, and different life stages, or it could be we're the same age, but at different stages in life.
Mm-hmm. What are your gut reaction?
My gut reaction is that I would need more information, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's
it depends on what stages.
What are the stages, and why do you think they're incompatible would be the thing. I mean, if it's just that, oh, this would be hard work, like this would take a lot of effort. Well,
welcome to a relationship.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm speaking from the girl's perspective, but if this is like a solid, godly guy who you get along with and you would want to date, but you're just kind of like, this would take a lot of work. I would not shy away from that, I don't think, especially because these life stage things don't last forever. So especially if you're looking at this and it's like, oh, well, he's going to grad school and I'm going back home. Like, you're in college, he's going to go to grad school there, you're going back home a few hours away. Well, okay, if you've got this foundation and you really want to date this guy, like, figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be my first thought. Because it's always going to be something that you have to work hard at. And if that's the thing you're shying away from, then I don't think the life stage difference is really going to be the problem. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I 100% agree. Because my first thought was, well, two first thoughts were,
you
one.
Can't have two first thoughts.
Okay, my first and second first thoughts. My first and second first thoughts. Golly, Kristen, speak. The first two things that popped into my head.
Okay, go with that.
Number one was, how long is he or are you going to be in your current stage?
Yes.
Because if it's 6 months, hunker down and go for it.
Yeah.
If it's 8 years and you don't, I'm being dramatic, but
right.
Then it's a different conversation. And the second thing is, you're always going to be busy. Okay. So I think a lot of the motivation behind this question is different stages of life is that your schedules aren't similar. That's what I think of. Because if you're in college, one of you is in college and one of you is working, your schedules are going to be really different because you may have a 9 to 5 and he is in grad school and he's got 2 classes in the morning, his afternoons are free, and then he's got class at night, or he's got to work at night because he's got class during the day. But I had someone tell me recently that I don't think anybody is ever too busy because you make time for what's important to you.
Absolutely.
So it's one of those things where if you really like this guy and you really want to make this work, even if you are, you're busy right now, even when you get to the same stage, you're still going to be busy. You're still going to have work. You're still going to have friends. You're still going to have family. You're still going to have responsibility. Yeah. But do you like him enough and do you want to be with him bad enough to make him a priority so that no matter what your schedule holds, you're still investing in this relationship with him? Yeah,
I think sometimes too we think, oh, well, especially with school and then you're starting your career, it's like, okay, well, if we start dating, well, we couldn't get married for 3 years because he's going to be in school and then he has to see his career start and all of that, which I get to a degree. But you're never, I don't know, I feel like it's the kind of same thing, like, we're going to wait till we're ready to have kids. If you wait until you're fully ready to get married, are you ever going to get there? Mm-hmm. There's always going to be some reason not to. There's always going to be something that's like not ideal. So I normally tend to, okay, if you are pursuing the Lord, he's pursuing the Lord, you have an income, you have, like, you can make it on your own. Like, if you're both living with your parents and they're still supporting you getting through school, okay, probably wouldn't be a good idea. Yeah. But if you're on your own and you're working and you're trying to make it work and you're just really busy, well, from a very practical standpoint, some of that would be alleviated by being married and living in the same place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think sometimes we listen to the culture that says, well, you have to wait to get married till you have your life entirely together, which sure, that might be helpful sometimes. It might make some things easier, but I think it makes some things harder. Mm-hmm. So I don't know that waiting through that stage is always the best answer.
Yeah, I would agree. And another thing, something you just said made me think of this. This is kind of related. Y'all know how my brain works. I don't need to justify this. Okay. What I thought, though, was you hear girls like, oh, we couldn't get married for 3 years. Mm-hmm. If, XYZ. I would really caution you, if you find yourself saying something like that, are you wanting to be married or are you wanting to be with this guy and marry him?
Yeah.
Because I think that's something that a lot of people, I've seen a lot of people fall into that of, I just want to be married, not I want to marry him.
Yeah, I want to be married and this is who's in front of me.
Yeah,
so
there's a difference.
Totally.
And I like when I talk to my friends, I want them to be like, oh yeah, I can't wait to marry him because he's this and this, that, and we're like this, whatever. Not like, oh, I just can't wait to be married. Yeah. I mean, like, okay, well, are you glad it's him? Like, or is it just like right place, right time kind of a thing?
Yeah.
So I would just really caution you there of, yeah, you may have to wait a little bit. Yeah, it may not be, like you said, you're not fully ready. You don't have all the little check boxes that society says you need to check. And this is something, we talk about our parents' generation a lot and how they, all got married super early and they think we should too. All of that. But I mean, you talk to our parents. I know my parents said this. Yeah. They were broke when they got married. Yeah. Like dirt poor. And 21, my mom still had 2 years of college left. They figured it out. She's like,
and what a bonding thing. Like,
that's what she said.
From everyone I've talked to who was in that place, they're like, oh, but looking back, those were some of my favorite years.
That's exactly what they say. Because it was just, she's like, all you had was each other. I mean, she's like, we're eating Del Taco in bed on Friday night at 7 o'clock watching TV because that was all we could afford. But it was so sweet and so fun. And you didn't care because you were just with the person that you loved. And it wasn't, it's like we weren't technically ready, quote unquote, if you wanted to go by the world standard. And my parents have a phenomenal marriage. Yeah. Like, so I think there's so much of that pressure we put on ourselves of we need to be in the same stage of life. We both need to have, everything figured out and our 401ks are going strong and we both have this and that, whatever. And again, I'm not saying you don't want to be with a guy who is not working towards those things.
Sure. Strong work ethic.
Yes. Yeah. But it's never going to be fully perfect.
Yes. And I think it all comes back to how do you define different life stages? If you're a sophomore in high school and he just graduated college, probably not the best idea.
Woo, girl, good for you.
That's the first thing that came to mind. I'm just saying.
That's not even
very
legal.
Different reactions to that.
That's not even legal.
I'm just saying. I'm trying to think. Okay, in what instance would I not encourage this? You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying. Like, that's very different. But when you were talking about 401ks, it kind of made me think too. All of these things that society says you need to be ready for. What eternal value and impact do those things have? Are you waiting to get married so that your life here on earth will be as easy as possible? Because that's what a lot of those things are. Don't pursue a relationship. Don't date someone who's not in the same stage. It's going to be hard because their job's not the best and they don't have a career and you can't have this level of living. So wait for those things because then your life here will be easy. Where is the biblical? There's nothing biblical about that mindset, and we wouldn't agree with that on anything else. We're living as strangers and foreigners in a land that's not our home. And so if you have someone who is a godly man or woman and you want to be together, it's this mutual thing, but you're like, oh, this would be hard and this would, those are the things that matter. Two people pursuing the Lord and trusting that he will provide in those hardships. And I think if that's your mentality, then move forward with your eyes wide open to this is probably going to be difficult and it's not going to be ideal and we may not get to see each other as much, but the character of this person matters a whole lot more than how much money he has in his 401k before we get married.
Absolutely.
At face value.
Yeah.
If he's a lazy bum,
different
and never
conversation.
even thinking about it, that's a different conversation. That's not what we're talking about.
Right.
I think I've mentioned before my pastor's kind of doing a series through taking a look at biblical masculinity, and he had such a good point about that of someone's career and what their status, and talking about there's nothing masculine about one job over another necessarily. You don't have to achieve this certain level of leadership or status to be considered successful and masculine and a good leader. Even he was making the point that work ethic and how hard you work and putting in work is so much more important. And he said, if you work as a street sweeper, he was like, great. As from a woman's perspective, who cares what his career is? If he's a street sweeper, he said, you look for the street sweeper who has the cleanest streets in the city. Because he's working hard at what he does.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's such a good point.
Yeah.
Who cares? The Lord will provide for the rest.
Yeah.
And so I think that should be our motivating mindset more than, okay, are we going to have this easy life here?
Yeah. Well, and one other thing I'll point out too about the question, because the question is dating in different life stages. You're still dating.
Good point.
You're not committing to marrying this person
you can
yet.
Figure some of it out.
Yeah. So, and part of dating is taking risks. And so if you're a little unsure of like, oh yeah, we are in different stages, I don't know how this is going to work. You're not going to figure it out unless you try. So if you really like the guy, he really likes you, he loves the Lord, you love the Lord, you want to go for it, then date him. Again,
You'll
say this all the time. You're not marrying him tomorrow. You're not taking a ring on the first date. You know, it's not how it works. So go in, and it's almost, if you can view it as a good thing of, hey, I can go in knowing that I want to try this, but also knowing like it may not work, but that's what you figure out when you're dating. That's why you date.
Yeah.
And if you don't ever date, you're not going to figure it out. And we all know about how wondering what if is just the worst thing ever. So keep that in mind as well, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's good. And do you have anything else?
No, that was my final charge.
Okay. Well, we will end it there, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We are glad to be back-ish. We're kind of easing back into it. We've got CouchCast the rest of this month. We are prepping now for our look into online dating, a deep dive in August. I'm getting more and more excited as we go. At first, I was like, I don't even know what we're going to talk about. But kind of as I put my thoughts together, I'm getting more and more excited about it. So we are going to do a deep dive into specific sites, compare them to others, things you should know beforehand. We're going to look at, we've talked to multiple guys at this point about, from their perspective, things that stand out to them in girls' profiles, things they wish girls wouldn't do or say. So we are going to be compiling that stuff from them, and we will get back to you on those things. But yeah, it's going to be a fun August, I think. So stick around for that, and then we'll be back September with a new season. But until then, I'm Bethany.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is Looking for the Middle.